Hi, everyone. All right, let's get settled in as we transition into our final event of day 4.
I've just got here and I think I'm losing signal already. Hello? Can you hear me now? Sorry, I've lost you. Sorry.
Hello, it's me. I was wondering if after all these years you'd like to meet to go over everything. They say the time's supposed to heal ya, but I ain't done much healing. Hello, can you hear me? I'm in California dreaming about who we used to be when we were younger and free. I've forgotten how it felt before the world fell at our feet. There's such a difference between us and a million miles. Hello from the other side. I must have called 1,000 times to tell you I'm sorry for everything that I've done. But when I call, you never seem to be home. Hello from the outside. At least I can say that I've tried to tell you I'm sorry for breaking your heart, but it don't matter. It clearly doesn't tear you apart anymore. Hello, how are you? It's so typical of me to talk about myself. I'm sorry. I hope that you're well. Did you ever make it out of that town where nothing ever happened? It's no secret that the both of us are running out of time. So hello from the other side. I must have called 1,000 times to tell you I'm sorry for everything that I've done. But when I call, you never
Starting with Adele. My goodness, who was singing along with me? I just want to know. I was belting it out. My volume was all the way up, and that's perfect because we're about to have another live breakthrough session for day 4 of our I Don't Believe in Astrology series. As we all get started, tell us in the chat where you're tuning in from and share a takeaway so far. Montana, Texas, Canada. I know. How can you not sing to it? I agree. California, San Diego, Medicine Hat, Maine, Arkansas, Connecticut, UK. Awesome. There's so many of you people here. We appreciate you from all over the world. On behalf of all of us here at DSA, thank you so much. Your enthusiasm, openness, and how you're all fully showing up each day and each session is what makes each moment worth it for us, and we hope you feel the same. Now let's go over some quick housekeeping items. First, please be sure your chat settings are set to everyone, not just hosts and panelists. Remember to add info@deborahsilvermanastrology.com to your email contact list. And if you're joining us outside of Zoom, welcome. Please make sure you're tuning in to join us at IDBIAlive.com to fully engage in this experience on our watch page and use that page to upgrade your I Don't Believe in Astrology experience now, which includes a copy. This event is being recorded and a limited time replay will be available for you in the I Don't Believe in Astrology Live Come Study You course. If you have questions, feel free to post your question in the chat and a member of Team DSA will do their best to respond to you in the chat. For those of you on the replay, you can comment and Come Study You, or you can bring your question to the next live session. If you have a technical question or need support, you can also email our support desk at info@deborahsilvermanastrology.com. And remember, we are running a giveaway. When you're joining us for our live breakthrough sessions or catching the replay, we'll be sharing a secret bonus code that will earn you 5 additional entry points when you enter that code on our giveaway platform. The link to the giveaway tracking site is found in your I Don't Believe in Astrology Live Come Study You course. Winners will be announced on our special live virtual celebration taking place on Tuesday, April 8th. So here we are in our final session of day 4 right now. Tomorrow we'll start at 8 a.m. Pacific for a Wisdom Watch Party, and then at 10 a.m. Pacific we'll have our final live breakthrough session of this event series. In each live breakthrough session, we'll start with an immersive meditation and prayer, then we'll go over the day's theme before we jump into a conversation with our guest. Afterwards, we'll lean into elemental and astrological medicine, then invite a lucky volunteer or 2 to join Deborah live for an astrological laser session. Visit your Come Study You course for even more event details and replays. You'll only have access to this course for a limited time unless you've opted for our VIP upgrade. And now it's time to raise your hand and enter your birth date, exact time and location, and a member of Team DSA will reach out to you so Deborah can call on you later during the laser astrology sessions. We will select a few of you to potentially work with Deborah live. Getting selected doesn't mean you'll guaranteed to be called up, but we will strive to get to as many of you as we can. Once the meditation starts, submissions will be closed. If you're chosen, a member of Team DSA will message you directly on Zoom. Please make sure to accept that button invite as a panelist. During the transition, you may see a black screen or it may look like you're getting disconnected, but please know you're not getting kicked out. You're just getting moved into a different role on Zoom. For those of you who really resonate with the theme of astrology on steroids, now is the time to have your birth information ready and raise your hand if you'd like to be selected as a possible volunteer participant. And can you believe we are almost at the end of our time together? We want you to continue the magical experience of understanding your soul's contract in this lifetime. So stay tuned for a special bonus reveal a little bit later today. Now let's turn it over to Deborah for another incredible session.
Yay, thank you, Lisa. This is so exciting because what's my favorite topic in the whole world that I'm kind of obsessed with would be astrology. And I found myself a sister who's got the same problem. If any of you in this room have come from Astrology Hub, can you just say I came from Amanda? Because there we go. I wouldn't be fortunate enough to be at this event if it wasn't for Amanda, said Carolyn. I love being part of the inner circle. For those of you who are students of astrology, and I'm hoping that's why you're here, because that funny title of the book, I Don't Believe in Astrology, tends to lend itself to the people that don't believe in astrology. But of course, the people that do believe in astrology open up the book because they wonder, why would an astrologer say she didn't believe in astrology? Well, I'm trying to, that's so great. I'm here in her inner circle. I love you both. This is really a love fest, as you've seen. Today was two men that were obviously in love. We've seen couples in love. We've seen artists in love. And today we're seeing two astrologers. And I just want to start by saying, I grew up in a time period where it wasn't okay to be an astrologer. And then let's go behind that story from the 80s, because I grew up, I was born in the 50s, but by the 80s, I was a professional astrologer. Let's go to earlier days when there was no acceptance at all, ever, for a woman to be someone that consulted the stars. It's kind of dramatic. It was only men allowed into the circle of those that understood the math, because there was so much math involved. They just assumed that left brain. I love that image that Richard Rudd talked about. There are big muscles on the left, but the neat thing about astrology is, yes, we teach you left brain information. And in my school, it's very specific. Baby size, bite-sized bits, don't make it hard. And after you collect the left brain and you get the Windex and you clean up that side of your brain, then we ask you to lean over towards your right brain. And this is really important to know, because there's people in this room that are going to say things like, I could never learn astrology. And it's just simply not true. The way that I teach it is so much fun. I teach it like a fourth grade teacher, like somebody who wanted to break down some large concepts so that the kid could swallow it, internalize it, apply it. And that's why it's called applied astrology. So the cool thing about Amanda's program, which you're going to hear a lot about, Astrology Hub, it's an organization kind of like a big giant wheel with different astrologers who are all teaching different angles, different ideas, different philosophies, different theories. And as the student, you sit next to Amanda, who you're going to fall in love with, in the middle of the hub, and you look around and go, oh, there's these resources, and some are men and some are women. And I love what Amanda said. If you watched the podcast with her and I, she said the men are often the teachers and the women are often the astrologers. Well, in our school, we have 30 astrology teachers who came through my program, and they're all women. We have one man. So the pendulum has swung from it being an exclusive boys club to now being a female intuitive art that's coupled with the left brain. And here's the good news, you guys. To make a chart now, you push a button. So nobody can say, I can't do math. It takes exactly 1 second. So for all of you beginners who know nothing about astrology, I want to just speak to you. Thank you for being here. You don't have to believe in astrology. It believes in you. Start there. There are certain beings, like you're going to meet Amanda and I, who came in with a direct experience of how astrology completely changed our lives. There's somebody on our team called Tara who works with children and parents about astrology. Her child with special needs, she couldn't understand her, went to an astrologer. He explained her whole nature, and she was like, that changed her life. And she became an astrologer working with parents to help them understand their kids. So it's become popular. It's become acceptable. It's in the mainstream. That's why you're in this room. I am one of many. The only difference is I'm a little Gemini and I have Uranus on my head. Uranus is the planet of astrology, and I was born with it right above my mother's head, and so was Amanda. So interesting. Those of us that have a strong, it sounds awful, but it's true, a strong Uranus have the gift of being open-minded enough to break outside the boundaries of what Richard talked about, the linear logical acceptance of this reality being explained. If we're not at the point now where we know that logic is not ruling this existence, then you're missing the boat. It's okay now to say this place, and this is my first half of my book, the design of the human condition is crazy. We're built to sabotage. We're built to be lazy. We're built to be confused. That's crazy. And then there's the awareness that comes on and goes, well, now that I know, what can I do? Oh, I know. I can use that faculty, that instrument, that operating system of the mind to actually insightfully understand my emotional body, my impulsiveness, my reactivity, my relationships that don't work. I have this angle now with my left brain studying astrology to inform compassion. So for me, I had one son who was a double Aries with a grand trine in water. So he had a lot of fire. He was a very strong, athletic, very ambitious, very driven, but he had this super sensitivity that was a recluse, that was an internal, that was an introvert. So lucky me, I understood. So when he came home from school one day and the teachers had all put him in a room together, he got in trouble. He came home with his tail between his legs and said, Mom, I'm in big trouble. All the teachers were in the room. And I said, what happened? And he said, well, I pulled one on the bully and hit him right in the face. And I was like, you did? And he was like, aren't I in trouble? And I said, Mr. Double Aries, I would expect nothing less of you than for you to be the person in the room that couldn't hold back and had to hit the bully. That's the nature of double Aries. I'm not in trouble. Well, impulse control is necessary, Mr. Aries. However, knowing that about my child, and I have another child who comes with a very introverted artist, musician, studied Chinese, got very fluent, but he wasn't the social animal that he should have been as a Gemini. Why? Because his rising sign was Scorpio. He has sun in the eighth house of Scorpio. And my knowing that, I allowed him to be that introvert. So I want you to hear this. That your children and your spouse and your parents and your mean brother are waiting for you to do their chart so that you can have compassion and be everything we've been working on for the last 3 days, 4 days, which is on identifying the compassionate 13th sign that says, I wonder who this person really is. When I thought that was so precious when Zach talked about being lonely. We long for union and to be seen. And when someone comes into your world, this happened to Amanda and I could see through her veneer, the pretty little Capricorn with Saturn and Leo, and she could see through the little Deborah Silverman act, and we could see each other's soul. It was like a deep breath of fresh air, like somebody's seeing me. Now, you all long for that, right? Don't you wish somebody could see you and understand you and give you the compassion that you wish you could give yourself? Yes. Well, it's possible when you study astrology and you read about your chart and you find out what your life lesson is, and then you actively go towards it, and suddenly you feel seen. And it happens first between you and the astrologer. We have certified astrologers I can refer to you who are rigorously trained by me, so they're the real thing. And then you go and you study it, and then you go to Amanda's school and you get this consistent influence of people who have studied, and you become a student. We call that astrology on steroids. So if you're wondering, and I feel this too, how can I allow myself to be my real self and turn up the volume, like those women we saw that were fire, or the water element of really understanding compassion and sensitivity and feeling and not being self-conscious about it. If you want to understand why it is you're internal, said the water sign, or why it is you're loud, said the fire sign, or why it is you're a workaholic, said the earth sign, or why it is you love to collect information, said the air sign. That's a simple, I mean, I'm giving you Astrology 101, but boy, is it deep. I'm letting you know this is a lifetime study. It's not a religion, but it's a spiritual practice. And it's here to soothe you that you are on the right street. Do you wonder? I'm curious. Do you guys suffer in this room like thinking, am I doing the right thing this life? Am I in the right relationship? We heard that from our last volunteer. How do I get a job when they all seem meaningless? All that wondering, always wondering, always wondering. Someone said absolutely always, super big time. That is easily remedied when you begin to study astrology, and we'll talk about it with Amanda when we both realized, wow, we had a job to do and there was no way to change our character. In fact, the definition of who we were was going to support our mission. And the more acceptance there came, and the more celebration, and the more I get to be Deborah Silverman, the easier it gets to be for me to share with you. Come join us. And for the beginner astrologer in the room, the first step is the book, I Don't Believe in Astrology. Read it. Take notes. Okay. Is it time to meditate?
It is, Deborah.
Perfect. It's like my favorite part of the day. Okay, you guys. Stopping time. Everything I said floats in a balloon out of the room. You close your eyes, you bow your head. You hear the sounds around you. You allow your ego to sit in a chair to the left of you. Tell it it's okay to listen to Deborah's voice and just relax and breathe. How humbled are we to be in this moment where history or her story is changing everything. We've entered the era called the Aquarian Age. You are free to be your unique self. There's no need to feel self-conscious. You are allowed to relax your nervous system with the sentence, I love who I am. Try it and practice it every day. I love who I am. If it's not true, you say, I'm learning to love who I am. We humble ourselves in this moment in the presence of those we cannot see, and we ask for their guidance, their protection, their presence. We give ourselves full open space, yielded hearts right in this moment, as though you had a heart that you just put your hand on and you said to it, to the aperture of your heart, open just a little more. Open to the truth that I want nothing more than to fall in love with this life, with the circumstance I'm in just as they are, and most of all with my soul. Help me to feel the comfort in my body in this moment as a thought. Just start with that. I'm comfortable in this moment. One deep breath, then hold it at the top. As you breathe out, relax your face, relax your hands, relax your stomach, and relax. Relax is the word. Let the ability to come into calm. This is the place where we live, what I call the 13th sign, with the eyes closed in meditation, and we pray. And I want all of you right now, let's do it as a unified field. Let's ask for this transition into the Aquarian age to be gentle. Give us the wisdom to know how to cross the bridge from the old world to the new. Find our people around us, show us the community. Through the astrology community, through the new age community, you find your space, you find your people, and then you take another deep breath. And you hear in your head the words, I belong. I belong here. This is where I belong. Right here, right now, in this moment, just as it is, in the name of my ego identity as Deborah, you say your name. I belong here. You give yourself that gift. I hold my heart, I hold my tummy, and I give myself the gift. I belong here. I was wanted. I volunteered to come to this existence. And while my mind gets busy and it argues and it disagrees, the truth is here now as I take another deep breath into this truth. I belong here. I accept who I am. I'm learning how to fall in love. And while it's a practice, I have begun. And I invoke and I welcome my higher self, the influence of my guides, the kindness to wash over my existence, to bring me magic, to help me reclaim my faith, and to know in the deepest part of my heart of hearts, the sun will always come up tomorrow. The moon is moving in perfect increments. You're breathing exactly the temperature of air that will soothe your body every time you take a deep breath. And you're living inside a miracle. Your existence, when you have your eyes closed and your head bowed and you're in humility, the magic is fully present. And so it is. Slowly open up your eyes. It's just true. Everything I just said was true. The sun will be coming up tomorrow. It will be going down tonight. This existence is in perfect order. It's what Zach said. There's no free will for the physical plane. The photosynthesis, your heartbeat, your liver operating, your kidneys, your brain, the fluid in your body, all of that is in devotion to your existence, and there's no arguing. The only arguing occurs between the brain and your mind thinking something's wrong. And there may be things wrong in your life. You might be in a situation that doesn't serve you. It's really awkward to say. You've got to have trust and you've got to learn the skills. Here's the magic. Ready? It all comes down to the 4 elements, said the magician. First things first, you land with your eyes open in reality and you face what is. Either I am so lucky, or I am so sad, or I am so scared, or I feel so good. You've got the range. I'd love to hear your sentence. When you stop, let's do it right now. And you take inventory of the present moment and what your emotional body is feeling in this instant, in this unified field. Radical trust. I'm so free. I'm giving you gifts of gratitude. I'm blessed. And someone said, I'm so tired. I'm full of gratitude. My heart's expanding. This is the light side of us. And it's real. And it's so important to cultivate and to bring it forward and to name it and to share it and to smile. And these are the people on this planet, Sagittarians galore, who are contagious. I feel joy. I feel creative. I say thank you. I'm crying and I can't even name my feeling because your soul just snuck in. That's why. I'm opening to knowing my purpose and to living in the moment. I love your words. Astrology changed my life, said Loretta. That's the nature of this beautiful, 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 beautiful existence. Okay, now that I've got you all inside of your bubble, where you're putting your hand in your heart and your hand on your tummy and you're beckoning your higher self and you're saying to them, I'm here, I can't see you, but I know you're in the room. And there's hundreds, thousands of people that will enter this energetic body that shares by all of us, that's shared by all of us. And you know what it says? I'm remembering. I did volunteer to come here. I really wanted to help this place. I took on that crazy story with all those people in my childhood to see if I could make it through that threshold, that bottleneck, and I did it. And I forgave them. Some of them I kept with me and I took them with me and they still live next to me and they are my best friends, my mom, my dad, my brother, my cousin, my sister. And some of them had to be left behind. And that's not good or bad. That's just the truth. It's as true as the sun coming up. We are time travelers and we're entering into another frequency, another level of the human design. The first form is dated. This is what I wrote in my book. The operating system that thinks you're insecure, that thinks you're anxious, that says you're depressed, that says you're feeling so sad about that divorce, you'll never trust again. Those are old archetypes that were put in place by a system that's toxic. You have got to go heal it first. And then once that occurs, and that's why I endorse therapy, and taking the astrology class is therapy, and reading a book about yourself is therapy. And then the work begins. I've healed myself, and now I want to invite you to come sit next to me and feel not so lonely. Zach Bush, when you're in that level of longing as a Scorpio for union and it doesn't occur in traditional relationship or in normal fashion, that doesn't mean that you're not loved. And all you have to do, someone just sneezed, is close your eyes and return to the meditative state. Can you promise me that after we finish this wonderful event in honor of my lovely book, that not you will buy the book, but more importantly, when Amanda speaks, you'll consider about being a member so you can continue this. 1, you can come to our school. 2, you can buy my book in any order. And 3, you can join Astrology Hub and find a community of people who celebrate diversity. Okay, I think I'm ready.
Let's welcome up Amanda.
Amanda, wait till I tell you about our chart together. It's the cutest thing you ever saw. Have you seen our midpoint?
No.
Okay, well, I won't tell you yet. Let me begin. I am going to do what I haven't been doing lately. I'm going to introduce you.
Okay.
Amanda Walsh is a Capricorn. Let's use the real language to communicate this. And in her deep passion and love for all things practical that would make a difference. If I had to say what Amanda's really deep desire, why this community is so important to her, something that's concrete, that's not full of hot air, that's not just a theory, that's not just, but that's actually implemented and you watch someone change, and Amanda's in heaven. It's true, isn't it?
So true.
Like the feeling of knowing. So let's speak to that. You have an organization, just introduce to us in your terms, Astrology Hub, how it came to be. I'm so curious. I don't know.
Mm. Do you want the short version or the
The
long
long
version,
version, the
Deborah?
long version.
Oh, goodness. Okay. Well, first of all, I have to say hello to my incredible community who is here and saying hello and I love you in the chat. And it's just like I've had tears in my eyes this whole time, including through your meditation, Deborah. You're so beautiful. You're such a gift. Thank you. Wow. You are doing such a service for so many people. And I'm just so grateful that you were born and you followed your path and we're all here together. This is so much fun. Okay. I was on a path. I was on a trajectory. I was doing the Capricorn thing. I was getting my degrees and I was climbing the ladder and I was getting all my success and my material abundance and wealth and all these things because I thought that's what I was supposed to do. And I thought that what society told me about what was going to make me happy was going to actually make me happy. So I just did it. And I was definitely like a hook, line, and sinker.
And
Like I
what was your original business like when you started before the astrology and you were Capricorning? I
I
love
would
the story about the New York. You got to tell about the chaos, but keep
okay.
going. I want to hear
Well,
that.
so I have my master's in psychology. I thought I was going to go into organizational psychology.
Oh,
Then my dad and my brother swooped me up after grad school and they were like, "We're building this technology company. We want you to be a part of it. Come over and work with us." So from a very tiny little family-run business in the Bay Area, we grew and grew and grew. And I had fallen in love with New York City, like from a young age. I think it's Sex in the City and like when Harry met Sally and they have those scenes when they're dragging Christmas trees. And I'm like, oh, that looks so fun. I'm from California, so the snow looks amazing. It's all very romantic. So I had wanted to live in New York City. And we had this Bay Area based company and there was this opportunity to expand and go to the East Coast. And
and
I
how
went,
old were you?
I was 27.
Just
And
before
I went, oh my
September.
God, I'll go. That sounds amazing. I thought I was going to be in New York when I was like an older woman. I had this vision that I would be this older lady. I wouldn't have to drive anymore. I'd have fake eyelashes and a dog with a bow. I would get this whole vision. And I was like, oh, that'd be so fun. I'll go to shows and whatever. Anyways, it happened a lot faster than I thought. I'm there 27 years old building this company. And
And tell them
uh,
what it did. Just want you to tell them what you did in New York.
we did wireless enablement of like different technologies. So we did the Wi-Fi on Amtrak trains, and we went in and I'm sorry if you've been to New York and you know and you've been in a yellow cab and you see the little screens in the back seat. I'm sorry. It's my fault. But we did the wireless enablement for those screens in the back seat so they could take credit cards and then the city could advertise and blah, blah, blah. So it's so funny, Deborah, when I think about the fact that like astrology is basically wireless technology. But like for the soul, I'm like, I was kind of doing that, but like in an
That's called
alternate
Aquarius
reality.
rising.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. In an alternate reality, I was doing that. Anyways, at one point, oh, I had my daughter, my first daughter. And when I had Madeline, AKA the Great Awakener, everything changed. And every time I would get up to go to work, it was this decision point of, is this worth it anymore? Like I have to leave her in order to do this. So is this actually worth it? And I had this very lucid sort of vision dream moment
12th house sun.
where I saw these two paths. I saw these two trajectories. And in one trajectory, I saw my life. I was basically like the Queen of Hearts in Alice in Wonderland. I had everything. I had all the things. I was very well dressed. It was an opulent life that I was living. And in this vision, my daughter Madeline walks in the room and she's now like, she's a baby when I'm having this vision, but she's like, probably 18, very well dressed, very beautiful, very put together, and filled with hatred. She's looking at me with like daggers in her eyes. It's cold. There is no connection between us. There's no love. And I look around my life and there's no love at all. So then I back up and I look at the other, fork in the road. And all I can say is there was a very winding, rolling road. I couldn't see where it went, but I saw on both sides there was green grass. There was a rainbow going over the road. There were butterflies. And the clincher for me is that I'm holding Madeline's hand and we are dressed beautifully, very colorfully, and we are dancing down the road. And it was this moment, Deborah, where I just went, oh, like this is called a crossroads. And I need to make a major decision. And this isn't like a subtle decision. This isn't like, oh, maybe I'll like donate to charity more or be a little more involved in Madeline's life. It's like, no, I literally need to blow up that other road and fully commit to this one. And so for me at that time, that meant leaving New York City, selling my home in California, giving up everything I owned in Tribeca, Manhattan, and moving with my little family at the time to Hawaii, where I did see lots of rainbows and butterflies and thought that that might be part of the path. So at this point, I know nothing about astrology, zero. And I'm actually quite snobby about it. Like I think it's weird and dumb. Like everybody born in January is just like me. Like nobody could possibly believe that, right? So I just think it's kind of dumb. Yes.
And then,
And then I moved to Hawaii and my whole entire life falls apart even more. Then I go through the dark
in return.
years of the soul, the dark years of the soul where it's like all these ideas of who I thought I was are having to be stripped away.
Let's stop right here. Anyone in this room 28 to 30 or 58 to 60? Because this is a beginner 101 astrology class right here, right now. There's no way that your spirit is not looking for you. And it's going to come get you, and it's either going to destroy what is not necessary, but you can't let go because you're attached, or it's going to build an unexpected dream that you never saw coming that you couldn't have thought of yourself. But one of those two things or both could occur. And it's a 99% accurate door, which made me believe in astrology. Because there's at our school, the very first thing we do when we start a reading and is ask the question, tell me what happened. And we give all the Saturn years, not just Saturn return, but every 7-year version. And that enters a deep conversation like you're sharing with us where people cry because life is stalking you. Hello. It has an agenda for you. Life knew. This is what you need to know about the future. I love when he said that they could see the future, they could see the past. When were you there for Richard Rudd's today?
No, God, I got to get the
Oh,
recording.
brilliant.
Yes.
That you could see so in your I was thinking about you this morning that when this happened and you left New York and you moved to Hawaii and your marriage broke up and the whole thing split, that was your destiny. But during it, they call it the dark night of the soul because you're in this dark space and your soul's taking over.
Oh my God. You guys, I literally cried every single day for at least a year. My car became my favorite place because I would go in there and swear and yell at the top of my lungs. It was the only place I could go where I could just, ugh, and I would go underwater in the ocean and yell and scream. And it was horrible. I mean, my marriage fell apart in a very dramatic fashion. I was near bankruptcy. So I'd gone from making $500,000 in New York and being Miss, thing to literally begging for work. It was impossible for me to find work. And it was just like, oh my God, wait, what? I jumped off that cliff. I went on the path of my soul. And like, this is, I thought of those things, leap and the net will appear. And I believed it, so I leapt. And then I felt like I was smashed on the concrete, but I wasn't.
That's what I want to say. All of you that feel like you're being smashed in the concrete, you're not, but you are, but you're not, but you are.
Exactly. Oh my God, you are, but you're not. You are. Yes, yes. And so when in that very, very dark period of time is when I had my first astrology reading. And Deborah, I literally stood there in this woman's kitchen because we were having tea and I was getting my chart read and it was so amazing with tears just streaming down my face going, 13 years of Catholic school, world religions and every religious path I could potentially go down, trying to find like what the heck is this all about? Why are we here? Does this even matter? To have this woman look at this circle with some squiggles and lines and be like looking in directly into my soul. I stood there with tears streaming down my face going, this is my first real evidence of God. Period. There is a divine intelligence that is so far beyond my comprehension. To have just these, little 3 pieces of information about us, birthday, time, location, and be able to see directly into my soul, like there's something so big. I don't know what it is, but wow, and it feels benevolent. It feels loving because as this person, this perfect stranger is reflecting me back to me, it feels like I'm finally being seen for the first time ever.
So wonderful. I actually pulled out a book, I mean my book, and talked about this is what I really want you guys to hear. My favorite moments in a reading, and this happens a lot, are when clients cry because they finally feel seen. I become the voice of their higher self or their observer, which sees through the eyes of love. However, sometimes I have to call my clients out. Stop that impulse. You're not supposed to be constantly traveling around hiding from yourself. Settle down and get grounded. Or I might say the opposite. Let go of that job already. Security is not what you promised your soul. You're supposed to be a free spirit moving around all the time. How do I know this? From the position of Saturn and the rising sign. These are the 2 keys to sourcing answers for your higher self. So this is the simplicity of our book because this astrology is so complicated. And of course, your Saturn's in fire, so you get angry. Part of your purpose this life is to stand up and really use and I love when I hear that you're under the water crying, you're in the car screaming. People that have Saturn in fire, you've got to let it out. And then your soul's Aquarius. If you're not serving the collective, it's not going to feel like you're here doing anything.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what it was. It was, that moment in New York going, God, am I actually really contributing anything beneficial? Like, am I actually, I would hear things, and this was at the beginning of my spiritual awakening. So I was reading books by Wayne Dyer and Deepak Chopra, and then I would hear quotes like, "Leave the world a better place than you found it," or "Consider the next 7 generations in what you do," and I would have these pangs of guilt, kind of like, oh, I don't really think I'm doing that. I'm really good at shopping and I'm really good at accumulating, but I don't know that I'm really doing anything that good. So it was, yeah. And so when I had the opportunity, well, where do you want me to go from here,
I
Deborah?
want to know how the Astrology Hub came to be.
Well, so basically, I have this reading. I go way down the rabbit hole. This is where I find you, Deborah. You're doing things online. I'm tuning in. The Leo King was another early influencer. He was doing daily horoscopes at the time, and I'd be like, "Oh my God, how does this man know exactly what's going on with me?" And then, of course, Natasha Alter, who was the woman who gave me my first reading, she becomes my fairy godmother. I'm literally the poor woman hitting her up every day, like, "What's going on today? Why do I feel so weird? Why is everything falling apart?" And just needing that reassurance of like, you're going to be okay. This is all happening for a reason. One of the things when I was going through the massive breakdown, I had 3 different astrology readings because I didn't want to believe what they were saying. Because
So Capricorn.
all 3 of them kept confirming that, in fact, I was probably most likely going to be divorced. And I kept going, but could it be metaphorical? Could it be like I'm divorcing an aspect of myself? Like, is it actually that I'm getting a divorce? And all 3 of them were like, no, honey, you're getting a divorce. But here's the thing. This is going to be the thing that gets you aligned with who you really are and what you're really meant to be doing. And if you choose to harness this moment and make the most of it, you will be in a position to help a lot of other people through breakdown moments. And those words, you know, I don't know about all of you, but have you had a reading or just read a horoscope or whatever, and you hear that one line? I call them like my highlighter moments. They feel like they just pop off the screen. You going through this and navigating it and making the most of this moment, not just like surviving it, but actually like harnessing the
Yeah.
magic in it, will be the thing that enables you to serve others. And I would just go, okay. I mean, here I am, like almost bankrupt, a total disaster, going, okay, I believe you on some level. The distance between here and there is very far, but I just clung onto those words. It's like, maybe. So, anyways, I fall in love with astrology. And the thing I keep thinking is, why doesn't anybody know about this? Why doesn't anybody know what this really is? Like, most people are probably more like me, thinking this is kind of dumb and throwing it out the window, thinking it's
I don't
entertainment at
believe in
best.
astrology.
Yes. Yes. So I'm like, well, why doesn't anybody know what it really is? And so then I have this opportunity uh, there's a magical story here too. I'm sitting at my friend's house. We're talking about astrology, like, because she's into it too. Her husband's on the couch. He's on his laptop and he looks up and he goes, you know, I bought this domain name, Astrology Hub, years ago. And I've just been like waiting for someone to do something with it. And again, my arm shoots up, just like when we were talking about moving to New York. And I went, oh, me. And I was like, I don't know what I just volunteered for, but I want to do it. And so the first thing we do is a summit, kind of like this. And this was in 2015. And so we invite 33 different astrologers. They come. I have no idea what they're saying. I am so clueless. I'm listening to these astrologers. These are like some high level top astrologers that I get introduced to from Natasha and a few other astrologers. And most of what they're saying is going way over my head. But what I love is how passionate, engaged, intelligent, truly hearts of that are that's wanting to serve, like yours, Deborah. And I'm just like, wow, there is so much I don't know, and I want to know it all, and I want to share it with people. Like as I'm learning it, I want to share that with other people. And so that was the beginning.
That's the craziest story ever.
I
And
know.
then you just used your marketing skills with
Yeah.
astrology when you brought people on and you learned how
Yeah.
to use the
And I've
internet.
learned, I mean, I didn't like know a lot about online marketing, but I learned as I went. I decided to learn the skill set I would need to be effective at what I was building. And I liked building stuff. I mean, I was building things with,
Capricorn.
yeah, it's fun for me to like build stuff, especially from nothing. That's like kind of exciting. So yeah, I just learned as I went along.
So telling the audience that their way of, because I know when this is over, we've been having the most amazing time. There's this cultivation of energy brought to us by the stars that gives us compassion. That's simply what the stars do. They are outside this world. I call it the 13th sign. It's the observer position that steps away from the human condition and looks over and goes, aren't they so cute? Well, a little weird. Sure how cute they are, but they
They're
definitely
cute.
they're cute. They dress up in little outfits. We know that there is a opportunity to let destiny find you. Like this is the thing that's living inside everyone's heart. You don't really know astrology, but you know destiny's trying to find you.
Yeah.
And your destiny found you. I mean, that is such a great, it's so amazing.
Deborah, we had this, I call it the summer of puppies. We had an accidental litter of puppies. And so we have these 10 little puppies on my lanai, on my patio. And at the beginning, they can't open their eyes. And they're all just like almost like little worms, just like crawling around each other on top of each other. And they seem sort of like terrified in a way. Like like they're just kind of like running around. They don't know what's going on and they can't see yet. And I had this moment as I was watching them of like, oh, that's kind of like how the universe is looking at us. Like we're these cute little puppies with our eyes closed and we're just sort of like running around in circles and kind of not knowing what we're doing and fumbling all over each other and hoping that we'll get fed. And, it's just
That's
this
exactly
moment.
true. And
Yes.
that humility and that smile and that love for the puppies is what's missing right now on the planet because we're in a when everything you said about your story the planet right now knows we have to leave New York, so to speak. Like
Yes.
image that you had where something went through those, there's a fork in the road. We can go this way or that way. Everyone on this planet right now is living with, are we going to make it through this threshold? Are we going to make it through the climate change? Are the politics going to break us? Will the society continue? And I'm going to say to you guys, astrology announcement, we are not going, we will live through it, but we are not going to resemble the old society. And what I'm so excited about with your work, being an Aquarian rising, is that you're bringing us up into a futuristic version of a humanitarian effort to say everyone's included. And that's what's so funny about our chart together. I just want to tell you, we have a grand trine. It's so sweet in water. So that's why we kept crying together. Like if you put the two of us together, and it's a kite. So a grand trine is three planets at 120 degrees, literally a big triangle. And there's a fourth planet, which is Uranus on the midheaven, which is astrology putting the kite in place. Yeah, it's the craziest thing you ever saw. It's Uranus on the very top of the chart. See this kite? There's three planets, all 120 degrees, and there's the kite. And it's
Wow.
Pluto. So you and I share in Virgo that our combined chart has a passion, Pluto, to be astrological in Virgo, practical, teaching them a skill set and putting them in our communities and saying, you guys, we have the best medicine. It not only does it taste good, but it's fascinating. You're going
Yeah.
to end up studying with us and consuming this material and going, every day I feel a little bit better about myself. This is so crazy. And I wanted to ask, go ahead, you tell us.
Well, I was just going to say that because if you're one of those people who feels kind of lost and like it's over your head and you're not really getting all of it, it's almost like when you go on a diet. You maybe have a goal weight, but the truth is at every pound that you lose or every like ounce of strength that you get, you feel better and better. One of the things I always tell my community is fall in love with the process of learning because it's like this beautiful unfolding. You're gonna fall more and more in love with yourself at every single thing that you learn. I mean, when I learned that Capricorn wasn't just a goat, but it was a sea goat, it was like, wait, what? It's a sea goat, like a mythical creature that's like part mermaid, part goat. That's the coolest thing ever. And it made me understand myself in a different way. But that's what's available to all of us at like
So
every
cool.
unfolding of the flower. And there's no destination. It's not like, oh, I gotta get there. I gotta know exactly everything because you won't, by the way. I interview astrologers who've been doing this for 60 years and they're still learning. However, you will feel more and more yourself, which then enables you to encourage others to be more and more themselves. You realize there is no competition because we each have our own things that we're bringing. And so we can just lift each other up as each one of us contributes our gifts. This is the design itself, which is to me just so fun and amazing.
Can you feel the passion, you guys? This is a direct result of what astrology does is reconnect you to your soul. I mean, that's a real thing. Where religion promises that in a church or where you're supposed to do that in meditation or yoga gives you back to your body, astrology has you fall in love with yourself. It's the only one that talks straight to you, looks right in the eyes and makes you go, how did you know that? So I'm curious, knowing astrology now, knowing that you changed Capricorn into a mermaid, that you've changed your ambition to just being self-service to getting you financial wealth to actually serving others.
Mhm.
Have you noticed from the astrologers of the times a continual growth in the collective of appetite for this? Like, are your numbers growing? Are
Oh yeah.
people?
Absolutely. And I hear that mirrored from all the other astrologers that I work with as well. And people like you, Deborah. I love it's funny for me to call you an elder because you just don't seem like it, but you seem like an elder because you are such a wisdom keeper. So I like to call you a wisdom keeper. But when I speak to the ones who have come before us, the wisdom keepers who literally have paved the way for us to even be able to have these kind of conversations, they reflect that it has changed immensely. I mean, since 30, 40, 50 years ago. For me, I've been in this 10 years and I've watched it just completely blow up in a way. And I think we're just at the tip of the iceberg.
We're the
Like
tip of the iceberg. Yes, and I live in a community here where people don't know what I do. It's my secret because I have that eighth house sun, so I'm a bit reclusive. If you
Yeah.
saw where I go for dinner,
Yes.
and I love that they don't know. And if I say to someone at this point in that circle, I'm an astrologer, they're like, "You're a what?" So that still exists. If
Yes.
I'm in our circle and in this room and with my community, they're like, "Oh, you're an astrologer, and this is permission to say we're in a revolution. And this is the split between New York and Hawaii when she left New York. And all of you are in this era right now where the old world is dated, and there's people that really don't get us, nor should they or will they. And then there's the other ones, the children, her daughters. I loved watching your daughter. How did she do? She left Hawaii and said, Mom, that astrology lady.
She was glowing. So my daughter is 16 and she came with me on a trip to Kauai a few weeks ago to do the podcast recording with Deborah. And the coolest thing to watch, you guys, because all of Deborah's team is so beautifully trained and skilled, every person she spoke with was like a mirror reflecting her back to her. And so when she left, I mean, she's 16 and even on Maui, there are people she will encounter who are kind of not as open to astrology. And so she has like the mom who like runs this astrology company who some people think is amazing and some people are like, well, your mom does what? So she was kind of, she's been navigating like, how do I feel about this? She's differentiating, but after that trip and being around your team and having them sit there and go, oh, well, you're like this, and oh, you're like this, and oh, this would be a great path for you, and oh, you're really good at this, but you might not know this yet. You're going to know this as you continue to go through your life. She was glowing. Literally, my former husband, who I now co-parent with her, he's like a brother now. I mean, literally, we went through like the drama of all dramas. And then that transformed as well and evolved into what I consider at this point a friendship and co-parenting. But he even sent me a text and was like, whatever happened on Kauai, Madeline is glowing. It must have been awesome. So thank you, Deborah. But this is the gift. Like any of
This
you
is the gift
listening.
for
Yes.
children, you guys. This is so important. This is why we have Tara, the luminosity. What is it called? The luminary parent. You guys, knowing your children, and you have two daughters, knowing your children and knowing their characters is everything. I know, I feel like I'm a cheerleader. I was a cheerleader.
Me
But
too.
yeah, like we're constantly, and it's funny because we're in love with something and we want it to be contagious, but more than anything, I want it to be practical. And that's why I love our school and your community combined. Because you
Yes.
come to my school, it's just 1 week. You're going to do like a 6 week time with 10 women in a circle or 10 people, and they look at your chart on the screen and they study you for like you're in a room full of just 10 people. Then you go through the whole 6 weeks and you learn the language. Then you do level two, the whole, and then you go and see Amanda and go, now I've got the basics. I've learned, and you can go through all three levels. I've learned how to, for God's sake, you can come learn to be an astrologer, for God's sake. I teach many, many people how to finish with a newfound skill set that you people are wanting it. And then you go to Amanda's community and the education doesn't stop. And the whole, I'm going to tell you something, said this almost 70-year-old. I'm going to say that until I'm 80. I'm almost 70. I'm almost 80. I want to say this, learning, studying, like I'm packing to fly out tomorrow to LA to my book signing. So for all of you in LA, please come. And I noticed that I didn't have room for enough of the books. And then I had to say to myself, Deborah, you're such a Gemini. You're taking how many books with you on a trip for a week? Hello. But the impulse to learn and to study is what keeps us young, to keep my mind going, to open up a book, to look online, to read, to take a class. That Amanda has like this menu of stars. It's so delicious. So I want to ignite that cheerleading affect of you guys, if you're down, if you're searching for who you are, who is not looking for themselves? I mean, you have to look for who you are. Why would you be on this earth?
Hmm.
That's my point of view.
Well, we get distracted. So, I mean, one of the things that's like, we all have our stories and we all have the path that I also am with you, Deborah, that we chose to incarnate into, right? So I came into the very sort of vanilla, all-American, suburban reality. And I'm so grateful for that now because that enables me to have compassion for the the experience that put me like I was very asleep. You know what I'm saying? And it's okay. Like I was relatively happy. I was doing things. I mean, when I was in New York, I was a huge partier. You know, I like did that whole thing. But that enables me to just go, well, that's okay. Like that's what I needed. That enables me to be a bridge. That enables me to have compassion and understand when people are there because I've had that experience. I know what it's like to feel like things like astrology are on the fringe and only weird people do that. Like I remember we lived close to Berkeley, and I just thought like astrology was where like the weird
Hippies.
people in Berkeley are, and it doesn't mean anything, you know? But I can have compassion for that former me, and I can have compassion for people who feel like that now. And that's what lays down the bridge for understanding each other. And
Oh, beautiful. It's called evolution. There's a lot of women in this room whose husbands would be so flipped out. What are you listening to now?
right.
You're listening to astrology. You're spending money on what?
Yeah.
And then they see the change, like what happened to your daughter. And this is so important. When you realize that a child can get comforted in their skin and reduce that teenage angst that creates the depression that makes us feel lost. Really? When you realize that you studying your husband and finding out my father, who had no air in his chart, my brother took my class and he did my dad's chart and he was like, oh my God, all these years, I thought he was not communicating because he was being a little shit, but he has no air. It's not his nature to put words to things. He talked by action, relief, or, oh my goodness, my one son has all that water. I can see why he's so emotional. And by the way, he can stay home from the party. You don't have to go. It's not your nature. Once that you're in your seat, you're in your own natural authenticity, and it gets better and better as you get older, because as you get older, you get more and more conviction. It's a feeling of being at peace. And isn't that what the world is desperate for?
I've always thought, well, not always, but since I've gotten into astrology, that if teenagers could have that reflection
In their
in the
school.
mirror, yes, or just all around them, their parents, the community, we would not have the issues we have with teenagers taking their lives
And
and all the
addiction.
addiction and all of that because they would know they're here with a mission, they're here with a purpose, and we need them to contribute that purpose for it all to work.
And do we get to acknowledge how old the science is? That it's the oldest science on Earth? That it's been put in place by a higher intelligence that I think is ETs? The level of perfection that I can look at your chart and I can see the yod, which I think we should speak directly to before we're done because we promised we would. So if we could pull up Amanda's chart, this is a very unusual aspect. So in astrology, there's things called aspects. It's simply geometry. And geometry describes how different planets who have become your friends get along. And there are different lines that are written on the chart to describe the geometric shape. So a big red line in the middle of the chart, you see that big red line, that's called an opposition. Two planets opposite begin talking to each other. The big blue line, when you go from the moon to the sun, that's called a trine. That is 120 degrees apart. You can stop moving. It's 120 degrees apart, and that means they're compatible because when there's ever triangles in sacred geometry, it's always a symbol of magic. So this is a simple, I just gave you a short little version, but I want to show you the green dashes. This is very unusual. So you can go right there. There you go. Green dash from Jupiter to the sun. So Jupiter's at 27, the sun and Venus are at 28, and then go across to Saturn at 29. So see the skinny, long triangle? It's an unusual shape. Each of those green dashes signify 150 degrees apart. Those two planets are 150. And then between the two of those right there is 60 degrees. And they have to be within a very tight degree. The actual geometry requires not more than a 3-degree difference. So there's one at 27 she's pointing to. Go up to Saturn. Saturn's at 29, 2 degrees difference. And then go over to the sun. And there's an exact yod. Yod is a Hebrew word for finger. In the Torah, when they turn the pages, I don't know if you know this, they hold a yod in their hand. It's a Hebrew word. So they can't touch the parchment paper when you're in a synagogue, and they open up the Torah every weekend and they begin to read from the Torah. They use a thing called a yod. It's a metal device that has a finger on it and it points. And that same word is used in astrology. It points to one spot. And what we pay attention to as the astrologer is what is it pointing at, because that is the clue of her destiny line. So the two planets that are sextile, the soft ones, the Saturn and Jupiter, you can point to those are simply giving an energetic complementary energy. We'll leave it at that. I won't go into detail. What's more important is what they are pointing at. And what they point at is two planets in her case that are exact degree. This yacht is so exquisite. One is at 29 degrees, her sun sign, which means the very last day of being a Capricorn, she was a full breed Capricorn. And her Venus, the planet of love and beauty, sitting right on her head. So they are one. When there's a conjunction, when two planets stand together in the same constellation, think of fifth grade. All the planets are moving around that big giant circle. The day she was born, Venus and the sun were at the exact, they're in different orbits. They have different orbs, but they're at the exact same spot, which tells us that Venus is on her sun, which makes her so pretty. And it makes her fall in love. That's what happened to her. And I was like, oh my God, we're so falling in love. If it was a man and a woman, I would ask for her phone number and gone to her house. But that's because she's so loving. Her yod is pointing to Venus. This is a woman, it's in Capricorn. But not only does she love with the point pointing to Venus, it's practical. And it's in the 12th house of the mystic. So in this lifetime, her promise with Venus and Sun at the point of her yod is, I got the willies. I promise I'm going to go down there in the name of love and bring practical gifts in the 12th house of the mystical realm. And I will do everything I can, said the yod. What the yod is before you incarnated, you signed a document. Not everyone who has a yod has an activated yod. Some people came in with it, but they didn't do it. You said, as soon as the bell went off, Astrology Hub, raise your hand. Go to New York, raise your hand. That's what a yod is. It's no free will, Amanda. Once the agreement was put in place before you incarnated. This is the definition. You could stop sharing. That's the yod. Once somebody made an agreement before they incarnated, you signed a contract and you said, listen, I'll do anything. I'll lose my marriage. I'll leave my home. I'll lose my money. I'll do whatever it takes. They were like, are you serious? You were like, oh no, I'm in. I'm fully in. They were like, got it. Watch her. And then the angels get organized and they make sure when Saturn returned that you would be activated to come back to your true purpose. Now, there's a lot of people in this room that don't know what their purpose is. This is a universal epidemic on planet Earth. Why? Because we're living through the Kali Yuga era of forgetting. We come in unconscious. Those little puppies all had their eyes closed. We have our eyes closed. You woke up and the alarm went off. So I want you all to hear Amanda's acting out her yod. She's impassioned. Her Venus love affair she has with astrology has gotten Capricorn practical simply by her sun sign being herself. Her yod points to her sun. All it was, we need you to be the workaholic as an essence of your natural self. And you were like, I'm in.
One of my favorite songs of all time, Deborah, is by U2, In the Name of Love. So when you just said those words, I was like, oh my God, no wonder.
I have
And
chicken.
even one of the first things that when I moved to Hawaii, I studied with a kahuna here who had us decode our names because in the Hawaiian lineage, I mean, your name holds your purpose. And so it's a combination of your middle name and your first name. And anyways, Amanda means lovable and love. And so anyways,
That's Venus at the point of your yod. If you would separate one or two of those, you are in the name of love. That's your purpose this life in Capricorn, in the 12th house, being supported by this lovely Jupiter Saturn. You've got that sextile. We're not going to do it. See, it gets advanced, you guys, only if the teacher is making it complicated. And one of my superpowers as you're watching is making astrology English and saying it simply enough that she can now walk away and go, I have no free will. I made a promise that nothing mattered more than my contribution in the name of love in the mystical realm of the 12th house as me being me. That was your promise.
well, and Deborah, that was one of the first things I noticed about you way back when we first met, is you are extraordinarily gifted at translating a very complex, sophisticated, nuanced language into English, into words that people can
Simplicity.
understand. Very simple, but that simplicity is mastery. That is not easy to do, and
You know,
it
it's
is
so funny
very
you say,
rare.
Amanda, because I used to worry that I was just like a superficial astrologer because
Yeah,
things were so simple to me. And as the years have gone by over and over again, I'm realizing, no, that's my superpower,
it
my
is.
Mercury and Taurus. I break it down simply because you know what I want, you guys? I want this beautiful launch that we're having on the book to not only be you buy the book, but for you to change for real. Like if you just started meditating every day and put your mind on the seat and started praying and saying, I long to be served and I long to serve, okay, higher self. If you take any of that, I'd love to hear in the chat room, what are you going to take away from this event? And if the bottom note is you realized astrology was medicine and Amanda did the very thing we were all so scared to do, she left. She jumped off the cliff like in the tarot deck. The fool jumps off the cliff and then she lands and she crashes only to find out the high priestess number one card was sitting next to her going, Amanda, we got you. Just be uncomfortable for a little while.
Deborah, when you interviewed me for your podcast, I asked you a question, and your answer was so profound. And then when we were looking for the footage, I went, "Oh no, did we edit that out because it was so good?" Anyways, my question was, what about people who don't have a yacht? Does that mean they don't have a clear
That's what everyone's
purpose?
asking right here in the room.
Like I really want because I feel for you too. It's like, well, lucky for her,
What was
blah
my
blah. She gets
profound
a little
answer?
yacht. What?
What was my profound answer?
Your profound answer. Do you remember? Do you
No, I'm
remember?
asking.
It
I'm
was
so
it was
excited.
it was such an esoteric, long-term, gorgeous view. It was be kind, do the next best thing. Basically, what you said is collect wonderful, beautiful, delicious karma so that you will eventually you will this is all everything you're
You
doing right
always give me
now.
the feeling. It's so crazy. Because what I've said, if I didn't say it correctly, I'll do it again. Amanda's an old soul. She came in this lifetime with the blessing of accrued karma, merit, it's called in the Buddhist practice. Because she's done so, and her daughter, my God, because she's done the next right thing, been kind, shared with people she could, take care of people, that lifetime of many lifetimes she's had came to this one where she was like, I'm all in. And they said, we got you because they trusted you. So how do we get to good karma? You start right now. I swear. The more you say yes, the more you give, the more your heart's open, the more you say, I'm sorry, the more you ask the question, how do I get out of this unbelievable judgment I have of those people? Help me. We had someone tell us this during this week. It's been so beautiful that she was born in a religious, I think was it Mormon or was it Jehovah Witness? I can't remember. She was Mormon. And her family said that she was never allowed to drink. And so then finally, one day she got out of the church and she decided she was going to drink, but she wasn't just going to drink. She was going to drink at breakfast and at lunch and at dinner. She was going to do the whole thing. And I love the story of when the pendulum swings, when you're ready to wake up, when you're ready to give yourself over to the next path, you can't judge the way you go about letting go. It could be a mess. It could be completely confusing. You could get it all wrong. But you guys, being stuck simply means you've lost your faith to jump off the cliff.
Hmm. Bam. It's almost guaranteed that it's going to be messy. It's almost guaranteed that it's going to be uncomfortable and that there's going to be some
It's the
casual.
nature of Saturn. Okay.
Yeah.
I feel very complete. I just want to ask, is there anything that you, in the name of your astrology hub, watching all these people over the last 8 years coming through your community, what do you notice the evolution that occurs when they, from astrology baby student to beginning student to studying to committing to the inner circle to hanging around the community? What do you notice?
I notice that astrology goes from something they're studying to something they're living. I notice that the people are incredibly activated and intuitive and trusting their guidance. That's one of the other gifts that astrology gives you because you're going to hear things that deep down you kind of knew, but then somebody else is reflecting it to you. So then you get to a point where you can think, oh, wow, well, maybe I do kind of know, or maybe I do actually know. So what I find is that they become stronger in their own intuitive gifts and in their own self-understanding. Their relationships improve, things begin to happen for them. I also notice that they cultivate a certain flexibility of mind and a certain childlike curiosity, wonder, and awe. And that the world becomes magical and life becomes magical. And then they know that they're making that choice every single day when they wake up to see life as magical. And then it's reflected back to them that it is magical. It's just a beautiful thing. People just wake up and fall more in love with themselves. And that is the most gorgeous thing you've ever seen in your life.
I love it so much. Your love, your Venus, the point of your yacht is Venus as much as it is your sun. And to turn us on like a radio and have us all remembering. It's so many times I got the willies today. That's all it is a sign that spirits are in the room and that you're resonating with truth and it activates the whole wide world. And you really do that, Amanda. So thank you for your presence. Thank you for your sharing your community. We did this during an eclipse, you guys. Another astrology truth. When things occur in the middle of two eclipses, you pay attention. When there's a retrograde, it's worth stopping and going backwards. We had met years earlier and fell in love then, but it rekindles completely because Venus was retrograde. Old people come back in your world. I'm going to see an old boyfriend this weekend. It's so funny.
Ooh.
I love Venus retrograde. I love Mercury retrograde. That's a new reframe. Yes, my card broke down. Yes, the flight was delayed. Yes, I just heard the computer broke of one of our employees. So what? It's all opportunities to prove our faith. Never judging. This is the hardest path of all. Of course, your emotional body is going to react. And so it should. We're human. I'm human. Raise your hand if you're human. Oh, look, everyone's raising their hand. Came through somebody's ding dong. Two ding dongs. Someone had an orgasm and somebody had you come through that little hole. That's crazy. That's
That's
called
crazy.
human. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's how you got here. And then the awakening happens. Sometimes it's Saturn return. Sometimes you're a young child and you remembered so young. I love that story. We had someone who's a Broadway dancer on here, and she said at 10 years old, her mom was in the bathroom and she saw this ad. I don't know how a 10-year-old did this. And mom, I'm taking an acting class, and then became obsessed and became an actor and a dancer and a singer on Broadway. We've heard so many stories this last week of how destiny whispers. But to your point, and I want to do it again, if you feel like your soul hasn't given you the answer, if you can't find your purpose, you have to go seek it. And some of us got the easier path because I had a yacht and we were kind of slapped into place. But for you guys, studying astrology is the first step of saying out loud, I do want to learn. And if I can make it irresistible, which is my favorite thing to do, I love when people leave level 1 and you're taking it.
Oh yeah. And
Because-
with my daughter. Deborah invited my daughter and I to take level 1. So we're going to take it together.
And that's the
any of
best
you
thing in
who
the
are-
whole world. And
Yeah.
so you sign up for the wait list, you guys, and that is equally as important as reading the book. In the meantime, you get the book, I Don't Believe in Astrology.
Thank you so much for joining us, Amanda. We so appreciate your presence.
Oh, thanks, Lisa. This is so much fun. You have an incredible team, Deborah, and thank you for all this that you're doing. And thanks to my beautiful, amazing Astrology Hub and Inner Circle community. I love you so much.
And thank you to your yard that you are following directions from home office and that you're giving everything you have and doing the next right thing every single day. I thank you from the depths of my heart. I see a mirror image, and I always tell you this. I feel like I am so in love with what you represent as a being who's so service oriented for the collective, at the same time flourishing in your beautiful love affair and your beautiful children and your beautiful life on Hawaii. I just see such a mirror, and I'm in love with you.
I'm in love with you too. Oh God, Deborah. So in love with you. Thank you for being so amazing. Everything you just said to me, I can say right
I
back.
know, it's so funny. I do have a yacht, I'll tell the truth. Okay.
And Amanda, before you go, actually, we'd love for you to hang out with us if you wouldn't mind, just because we're in this major vibe of the moment of the wisdom of astrology. And of course, we were teasing that we do have a special bonus offer for everyone. So
Do you want me to wait, did you want me to
They-
tell them about the
you
inner
can-
circle or
yes,
you're
we're
on?
getting to that. So
Gotcha.
go quickly over the low road and high road of astrology.
It's so helpful. Thank you, Lisa. If it's too much, it's exactly what Amanda said. If it's too much information and you heard the word yod for the first time in your life and you're like, I don't even know what she just said. Something about 2 planets in 150 degrees, or went over my head, and so it should. Hello, astrology. And at worst, you're living in your head. And we see a lot of astrologers, by the way, who are not embodied, who live in their head and they talk till their head falls off. It's a very inner science. But the high road is compassion is the first stop because your observer's on. What is astrology if not coming off the planet, Looking back at your first looking up at your birth date, time, and place, and then looking at your expression and your behaviors and how you demonstrate your character. That is astrology with the observer on. And then comes the compassion. And then the funnest part is you know when the cycles are changing. You know when you need to stay still. You know when you're introverted, which is what Amanda's about to go into her progressed moon in Pisces. It just literally this week, this month, you know when it's time for you to come back out. For me, guess what, you guys? Jupiter, the biggest planet in the heavens, it's 100 times the size of Earth. We can't even conceive of it, is going up to my midheaven, my career in Cancer, because I'm the mother for a lot of people, have you noticed? And it's giving me the blessings of my last 12 years of effort, which was writing this book, and having a windfall of celebratory energetics that say, thank you. So Jupiter comes in, it's like Santa Claus. Jupiter's about to hit my midheaven. I think that's so funny. And then the book came out, and you just to say honestly, I didn't do that on purpose. That's the nature of astrology. It goes on in instinctual, organic. It's what Zach Bush said. There's no free will for those planets. However, I was available. You want me to write the same thing with Amanda? She wrote a book. We were like, what? We're going to write a book. And then all of a sudden, woof, it came out. Her progressed moon was in Capricorn and was in Aquarius. And she was just writing like a crazy person. So high road of astrology is informed timing and being able to be patient when things are down and being awake when things come up and being available. That's another mantra you can take from this gathering. I'm available. Amanda, hey, you want to come to Kauai for a couple of days? Oh yeah, I've got my flight, I got my car, I'm going to be right there. I'm like, okay, you must be available. That word is the single ingredient that makes my heart sing. Higher road of astrology, observer on, compassion for the other, informed timing, cultivating patience and wisdom, and wow. Let's run, said Kim. Okay. And the mind, this is so important. Oh my God, I keep saying it, but because I keep having to hear it. Mercury is the second class of our school, Amanda. You're going to learn. First, you're going to do the elements, which no other astrology school does. We just simplify the practical application of your personality with the elements, a conversation that's simple for a beginner. And then the very first class is Mercury. And you think you know your Mercury's in Capricorn. Okay, well, now I understand. Oh, wait, we want to see how it's aspected because without that information, and of course, she has Mercury, get ready. She has Mercury opposite the biggest planet in the heavens, Jupiter. So her appetite, Jupiter being the fun factor, sitting right opposite her mind, she's like, I want to learn more. I want to learn more. I want to. It's so funny. That's a very wild Jupiter opposite Mercury going, let's talk. So it gives her the gift of the gab. It gives her a fascinating mind. It gives her optimism. It's what we saw the other day with our last person that we called in. He had the mind that was open to continually learn. That's the single ingredient. Why would you be in this room right now after an hour and 15 minutes, if not because your mind is starving to figure out how to get out of this complete labyrinth that has no exit door until you stop, put on your observer. There's a big sign that says astrology, and that door opened no problem. When the mind is a servant to the soul, the mind is in reverence to your purpose and it gives you the answers. And the truth is, this is what we're doing right now, Amanda. I want to show you the mirror of who you really are. I want concrete, tangible wisdom. It's not theory. And I want you to be embodied in self-love and in compassion. So you're like, wow, I feel so different. You know how many gifts I get at the end of level 1? Husbands write to me and say, my wife is back. It's my favorite thing. At the core of applied, after he didn't want to pay for it, he's so happy because she's back. At the core of applied astrology is you. Understanding the stars is one thing, but understanding who you are, that's where the magic begins. If you could talk to Goddess and you could if this is a great one. I love this thought because boy, did it happen, because we both have yads, Amanda. That God and Goddess did hand us a chart. We did study it and we did find the yod, and she knew that hers pointed to Venus and her sun, not consciously. It doesn't require consciousness. The yod works, all of this works anyway. But when you enhance it with consciousness and with your awareness, now there's a really fun game going on. All the lights came on, all the bells are going off, all the fun's showing up. So when she hands you a map to understand yourself, how dare you not say yes? Of course, I want to understand myself, and it's possible. It's rocket fuel. Let me help you fall in love with yourself. Next slide. That's so beautiful. Who am I? What should I be doing with my life? You're ready to dive into your psyche and the shadow, the parts of you that are sabotaging. You want a practical guide for your growth. You want to flow with the rhythms of this life, the seasons, and you want a successful career reading astrology charts. I'm your girl. And the best part where Amanda and I overlap completely is we create a community. She's Aquarius rising. That is the nature of community, and it's waiting for you. Next slide. You know what? Let's keep going. I feel like we've done this. I feel like we've got this. Like we go to the next slide. I feel like we just repeated that. There we go. Thank you. Here are the epic bonus bundles. This is so fun. I have a series. One is called, there for people that don't believe in astrology or don't even know it yet. It's just a beginning series. Meet the Elements and the Planets. I did a series, a 4-part series that you're just going to love. There's the book. There's the tarot book that I'm so excited about that's just about to come out that I'm going to put my hands on in 5 days. And then comes 50% off of getting into the inner circle of the Astrology Hub. Can you describe what it is? Can you tell us?
Yes, yes. So you're going to study with Deborah and get all your foundations and feel confident in reading a chart. Then you're going to go, okay, what's next? You're going to want to learn about things like Chiron and go deeper into the lunar nodes and understand all the asteroid goddesses. And there's a whole world of astrology that will open up to you and lots of different amazing astrology teachers. And that's what the inner circle will give you access to a different, highly vetted, very curated access to the best professional astrologers who are also incredible teachers. And then we have this very vibrant community. We get together at every new moon and we do a new moon intention setting ceremony. We bring in the heart, but then also we bring in the continued learning. So when you're like, okay, I got it, I got the foundations, now I want to go deeper, further, wider, down different rabbit holes, that's when you come to us. And we're giving you 50% off to come into the inner circle if you want to do that now. So it's a monthly, yearly, or lifetime
And
membership.
what
And
is it? What is it? What is the monthly rate?
it'll be for you, it's normally 74, but for any of you, it's 37. So you'll be able to lock in that rate as long as you stay a member.
So it's
And
37 a month and you can get, that's the 50% off. That is
yeah,
so,
and you'll learn from a different professional astrologer each month, and they go into different mastery class teachings, and you just get to, it's like a smorgasbord of astrological learning that just is completely delightful. You'll love it.
I love that story so much. So you guys, this is the bonus package. It's done by tomorrow at midnight. Plus, it says enroll by midnight tomorrow. Get this epic bonus bundle. You get me teaching Meet the Elements and the Planets. I don't believe in astrology. There's a tarot booklet, and now there's the inner circle. That is super cool. I just think we've never done this before.
I know.
Okay.
Well, and this is where I feel what Deborah's doing and what we're doing is kind of like a match made in heaven. Not kind of, it actually is because you're gonna feel confident enough to then learn from other voices and other perspectives. You'll have enough flexibility of mind where you can, shift the house systems maybe, or go into like different areas that you're just curious about when you have that solid foundation. And people are asking how to do it. Can I give them the link in the discount
Yes,
code? Okay.
yes.
Astrologyhub.com/Deborah, and then Deborah 50. Deborah in all caps. Deborah 50. So astrologyhub.com/Deborah and then Deborah in all caps 50. And you can
Thank
come in. There's no contract. So if you want to come and give it a try and see if it's right for you, you can do that. You can join us. We have a financial astrologer on right now, Georgia Stathis, and she is teaching a mastery class on the lunar nodes and financial cycles, which is fascinating. Like if you want to know like the collective ebbs and flows of our financial reality, astrology has insight into that. It's endless. It's
It's
endless.
medical,
Medical.
it's psychological, it's
Yes,
dealing with different rhythms and cycles and stories and myths, and
it's amazing.
we're like
Yes.
in the encyclopedia of delight. Okay, I'm going to do one reading live and then we're going to have the end. And you guys, just so you know, I'm sorry about that. Someone said I can't handle the timing. This is a urgent, do it now so you can get the 50% off. Come on in and get yourself a membership for $37 a month.
Wait. Okay.
Thank
I'm
you
just
so
looking.
much, Amanda. We appreciate you and
Thank you.
sharing this amazing offering. And Deborah, we're going to bring up Janet for a very quick laser session, and then we'll share a bonus code word for today.
I think that's so funny that Janet's chart has all those planets in the eighth house. It's so funny. It was like Zach, and it was like, did you see Zach today, Janet?
I did.
And did you relate to their eighth house conversations?
I did. Yes.
What
Eighth
do you
house is very cool.
what do you do, Janet?
Um, Currently I am trying to start my business, coaching business, with a little bit of astrology, life coaching, and some oracle card or creative expression thrown in to help people realize their authentic selves.
Have you ever considered doing work with as a doula or working in death and dying?
No, I haven't. That's never.
That's a really, when you have four planets in the eighth house, death and dying, have you been interested in death?
Maybe to the transcendent, sorry, I can't talk sometimes, the transcendent level of going to and from the spirit.
That's what you're built for. And by the way, you have no error. Can you point to the error in her chart? That's so funny. It's the second time this happened. That MC is not a planet. See where the MC is? That's just
Yeah,
two initials. It's not a planet. So you have, did you know you have no error?
yeah, I did.
So it's hard to get words out sometimes.
It is, yes.
And that's the gift of astrology. But the other part, it's so beautiful, is you've got such a strong double Leo, Sag rising. It's all in water houses, though. So you probably feel enthusiastic, but you have this recluse, right? You like to be alone. It's
I
that's how
do.
that's all the eight. That's so funny. It's a theme. Permission to be alone, permission to be inside yourself. Yes, you can use divination cards. Your chart screams psychic. You've got Sun conjunct Moon conjunct Jupiter. It's like you were so wanting to inspire people. Did you ever perform or were you too shy?
I was always too shy and stand back. I went the scholastic route. I got a degree in psych and a degree in sociology. Tried anthropology in graduate school. Didn't quite make that all the way.
But it makes so much sense because the sun and moon are to even this is a great example, you guys. She's sun and moon in Leo. We call that double Leo. In my book, I rewrite Leo. They're not always so big and loud and show off. That's the whole point of astrology. When you're born when the sun and moon are together, it's a dark night. So there was no reflection. The sun and moon hanging out in the same spot is they block each other. So you know how on a full moon we're all like, let's go outside and play, especially in Hawaii. But on a new moon we can't see anything. So you're an introvert, even though you're a double Leo.
Yes, very much.
So that would be confusing studying astrology and going, I don't even relate to this.
I'm starting to relate to it in that I'm discovering myself through it because I had a trauma childhood and all that stuff, but
That's very obvious. See where Saturn is? If you point to the bottom of the chart, Saturn, that's the childhood trauma. That is the abuse or the violation or the feeling of not being seen. That's a very difficult childhood. And just you can stop sharing. Announcement. Whatever the storyline is, whatever you're sitting with, Janet, whatever anyone's sitting with, just like you heard from Amanda, it was put in place by your soul. So you are a big spirit because being double Leo with Sag rising, with that kind of childhood, you made it through.
yeah, I did. I did.
And now you've got the passion. It's just what Amanda said. And now you can help the people that are still caught in the past.
That's my goal. Is that right there in a nutshell is my goal is to help others.
Well,
We
you're
are
on the
rooting
right.
for you, Janet.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Janet.
Thank you.
Okay, Deborah, we're going to share our quick, easy code for 5 bonus entries, which is astrology. So use code astrology in our giveaway platform, and you'll get 5 extra bonus points for joining us today. And then tomorrow is our final day. We'll have a wisdom watch party at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern with Dr. Alok Trivedi, Dr. Rewire, and then we will have our final live breakthrough session tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific with Deborah. So we'll see you all back here tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Lisa. And thank you, Amanda. And thank you, Richard and Zach and our friend that just showed up, everyone in this room. Wow, what an incredible generation of energy that's sitting right here.
So true. And remember to grab those pre-enrollment bonuses. It's a huge, never before given out package. So definitely step into Applied Astrology, and we'll see you in class the next semester. We'll see everyone back here tomorrow. Sending you so much love.
Yay. Thank you so much.
Mercy, mercies at my door. She's come to settle an old score. If you let her in, you'll see. Mercy, mercies come for me. Mercy's knocking at my window. Come to bring me things I should know. Gonna let me try again when I didn't think I could. Mercy would. And didn't know mercy when I turned. Light just burned away. Had no mercy in my heart. I just couldn't stay. Mercy's coming around again. Didn't know that she would be my friend. And the circle doesn't ever end. Mercy, mercy, mercy. Mercy, mercies at my door. She's come to settle an old score. And if you let her in, you'll see. Mercy,